Well, Jess Wolstenholm, thank you so much for being on the Collide Kids podcast today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is so fun. I'm excited to talk with you, especially about the ministry you represent and the resources you're going to share with us today. I think families listening are going to be really excited. Would you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Well, I'm Jess Wolstenholm, and I am the Vice President of Education and Research at Minno. And Minno is a children's media company that we exist to help kids and families experience Jesus every day. On and off the screen, we are primarily a streaming video platform for Christian kids and families. And but we have other books and resources, and we just really want to help kids and families experience Jesus together through the media that they consume, because we know kids are consuming lots of media, and parents, it's a struggle because you want it to matter, you want it to be
Right.
good media, and so we're working behind the scenes to kind of help make that easier for parents. We also work a lot with kids ministry leaders because they love the Minnow shows and resources that they could use in their teaching. And my role is that I get to review all of our content for theology and education, and just making sure that it's age appropriate, theologically accurate, and just the best way to introduce God and the Bible to kids as they grow in their relationship with Jesus. So it's such a privilege. I've worked in kids ministry for 25 years, and then in the entertainment industry. So the Lord kind of brought all of my experience together in this role. It's
Yeah.
such an amazing privilege to do what I do. I live in Nashville, which is where Minnow is based, and I have my husband. I have a husband, and I have two kiddos. One is a senior, and one is a freshman.
Mine are in middle school, so I
Okay,
relate to the stage
so
of
you're
life here.
almost
I'm
there.
I'm
Yes,
almost where you are. That's right.
yes.
Well, this is awesome. I'm excited to talk with you today. I love Minnow, and I think it's such a great resource. So I know our
Oh,
families are going to
great.
love hearing about this today. But before we get into that, because this is a show for kids, I always make my guests tell me a joke or something
Okay,
funny. So what have you
okay.
got for us today?
All right, I've got one because it's October
Hmm.
and it is fall. The joke is, why did the scarecrow win an award?
Ooh, I don't know.
Because he was outstanding in his field.
He
He
was
was
outstanding in his
so
field. Ah, that's a good one.
outstanding.
I like that. Good
A
old
good fall joke.
scarecrows. I feel like when I was in school, we did a lot of scarecrow stuff, and I don't
Yeah,
know that kids still do
it's
it.
not, yeah, I don't know. They're not as big anymore, right?
Yeah, or they're really creepy, like they're not the
Right.
cute ones that we had. But okay, let's talk a little bit first about how you came into your role, because I think that's really interesting. You did children's ministry for a long time,
Mhm.
which I love children's ministry leaders. I was one. I work with them, so I love hearing these stories of how they got into that. But then you left ministry just to be a part of the Minnow organization, or was this something you did kind of simultaneously?
Somewhat simultaneously. So, I think I mentioned I worked in the entertainment industry. So I went to college in Nashville and worked in Christian music, worked in Christian publishing, and simultaneously, I was working in kids ministry, and I was always a volunteer. My husband and I, too, since we were married, always volunteered for a kids ministry. And then I became a kids director at a church for a little while. And then this opportunity came along for me to just kind of bring all of that together. It really started when my kids were young, and we were discipling them. And at the same time, I was hearing all of these reports and this research about how kids were leaving the church, right? When they
Hmm.
get to college, they're just choosing to walk away. And for a while, as a young mom, I was really concerned about that. How do I make this story different for my kids?
Right.
And my husband and I really looked at each other and said, hey, all these people are leaving the faith. Why aren't we? I mean, we experienced a lot of loss. We lost four babies and two moms, and both of our moms in the span of 5 years.
Wow.
We dealt with church trauma. all the reasons people walk away, we had experienced these things and we thought, well, why aren't we choosing to walk away? It was never even an option. And we prayed a lot and really, considered that a lot and determined it was just kind of the authenticity that our parents discipled us with.
Mhm.
My parents came to faith. They grew up Catholic, good Catholic Italians. And then when they were dating, they got saved and they became Protestant Christians. And they kind of discipled us. It was messy because they were just learning themselves
Mm.
how to, be born again. It was also the intentionality, church was always a priority for our families.
Mhm.
Serving together was always a priority for our families. And so we started to institute those things in our own lives with our kids. And simultaneously, I was doing some writing and, writing some kids' ministry curriculum and things like that. And so it just kind of grew from there, this passion in me for discipleship to be done differently for kids,
Mhm.
for it to be very authentic and not necessarily the way it's always been done. We don't want to water down the truth. We don't want to change the truth of the
Right.
word of God, but we can adjust how we deliver it because we know so much more than we ever have about just psychology and even neuroscience and the way that all plays into how kids develop their long-term spiritual formation. I'm just so passionate about it. I just really
Yeah.
want kids to grow up and have a really healthy relationship with Jesus so that it lasts for the long haul.
That's amazing. I agree, and I think, like you said, like, there's no need to water down the truth. The
Right.
truth is it stands on its own and it's great, and you can deliver it very dry and very, I'll say, unfun, and
Yeah.
it still cuts through and it still reaches people. So if we can find ways that connect with people and families and kids
Right.
and give them this truth in a way that they can take it, I think that's so amazing. How did you get connected with Minnow? Have you helped start it, or was this something that was going on and you're like, oh, I want to be a part of that?
Yeah. Well, some of the leadership of Minnow I've worked with for over 20 years, and they're former Christian music industry folks. And I just, they kind of started to develop this passion around the same time. And so I was working with them in music and then in publishing. And then we had the opportunity to work with Phil Vischer, creator of
Oh
VeggieTales.
yeah.
I was actually working on Phil's books at the time, and just kind of got in there with Minnow and did a lot of when I was home with my kids. I kind of paused my career when my kids were little, but I still did a lot of writing with them,
Mhm.
just freelance writing, blog writing, devotional writing, things like that, and just really wanted to stay connected to what they were doing because I loved their vision. And
Mhm.
once my kids were old enough, there was an opportunity for me to join them. And I took it because it was my dream job.
Let's talk about Minnow because for listeners that don't know what this is, there now I remember Jelly Telly. I
You
watched
do?
a lot of that,
Yeah.
and when I was in kids ministry, I would use that. Like they are great
Hmm.
resources and lots of fun
Yeah.
videos, even just for transitions or helping explain something a little bit differently. So
Right.
I love using it as a ministry leader, but as a parent, I don't know that I ever tapped into that when my kids were younger. So I'd love to hear a little bit
Yeah.
about what Minnow is and what how you guys are putting all of this together.
Yeah. So, our main product is a streaming video platform. So, Netflix for Christian kids and families. And when we first started, we basically gathered and licensed all of the shows that were out there. So, Veggie Tales, Bible Man, if you've heard of that. There's
Mhm.
some older shows for kids that have been around since like the 90s and the early
Mhm.
2000s. We gathered it all together. We curated kind of the best in Christian media for kids. And it was great, but we realized there's only so much out there. And so we started about 4 or 5 years ago developing our own original content. So
Mm.
now Minnow has shows that we're putting out, our award winning Laugh and Grow Bible for Kids. That's when we released that Bible with Phil Vischer back in 2019. It became a bestseller. And now we're in the process of animating every one of those stories so that kids have the video and the Bible, the storybook Bible to kind of read and watch
Oh, I love
together.
that.
Yeah, it really helps to solidify the learning. Kids
Mhm.
love that they're like, "Wait, that's my Bible that they're seeing on screen." Kids
Mhm.
ministry leaders love it for teaching Bible stories. We don't have a curriculum yet, but it's on our roadmap to do that. It's a big undertaking. So shows like that, and then the Young David show. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yes. Okay, good.
So that one was, gosh, I mean, speaking of raising the bar, which is our goal for Christian Kids Media, that was created with a studio out of South Africa with a lot of former Disney, Pixar executives that are believers and just really wanted to put their talents to use for the kingdom. And so that is probably the most beautiful Christian kids content you've ever seen. Disney Pixar level quality.
Wow.
And it's been so well received, and kids are just falling in love with, being able to see young David basically imagines what his life would have been like as he was developing those character traits that made him God's chosen king for Israel. So that's another exciting one. We have a couple of brand new shows coming out. We're so focused on making sure that kids have all of the same really excellent, educationally appropriate, age appropriate shows that you would see on a PBS Kids or a Sesame, but through a faith lens.
Mhm.
And so we have a brand new show coming out in October called Guillermo and Will, and it is a dual language preschool show with two little
Ooh.
puppet worms. And Guillermo speaks Spanish and Will speaks English, and they're the best friends. And it really models this cross cultural relationship. And then kids are going to learn in every episode three to four words in English and Spanish so they can understand both languages. And so, yeah, that's the main part of Minnow. We also have a publishing arm. So, all of our original shows, we are developing books to go along with them because, again, we recognize the tension of screen time, and we want kids to have on screen and off screen experiences. And so we don't want it all to be focused around the screen. So we love books, and I head up our publishing as well. So that's really fun.
That's amazing, and I love that you've you've thought of everything, like, because parents do struggle with that, like, even if it's Christian content, I don't want my kids
Exactly.
consuming so much screen time, so
Yes.
having those books and resources really helps families so much with managing that, but also keeping their kids interested, which is
Yeah.
great. What's the age range for people, who watch Minnow? Like,
Yeah.
what age?
Yeah, it's primarily preschool, early elementary. So we say like our sweet spot is 2 to 8.
Okay.
We do have a lot of members that are in the upper like to 10 elementary age, but
Mhm.
the sweet spot is really 2 to 8, that early childhood education age where they're just sponges and they just
Mhm.
like a lot of just fun and learning that's wrapped in fun, which is what we want to offer.
There's a lot of stuff for preschool and then a lot of stuff for that older elementary
Mhm.
age. So finding stuff that your middle kids can enjoy and they're entertained by it and interested in it, that's so big. So that's great that you guys have that. I love that you guys have a dual language show coming up. Is that the
Yeah.
only one you have right now? Or are there other Spanish or other languages you have represented in Minnesota?
Yes. We do have other languages. This is our only dual language show, so that's explicitly like teaching language.
Okay.
But we have our Laugh and Grow Bible for Kids. We also have in Spanish and Portuguese
Okay.
and American Sign Language. It
Oh,
is the first Bible show for kids in American Sign Language. So we're
wow.
super excited to be able to offer the Bible to kids everywhere and to all kids. And so it's been really, really well received because there's such a need in that community. And we hope to do more. We've started with 25 episodes in American Sign Language, and we hope to do more next year. So we'll continue to roll those out. And then we have several other shows in Spanish and maybe a few in Portuguese. We're working on other languages. We want Minnow to be a global ministry, and we have viewers all over the world if they are English speaking. but we want to go beyond that and be able to reach kids in all areas. So we're working on a further language expansion, but for now we have Spanish and Portuguese.
That's incredible. Global domination
That's
for
right.
Jesus.
Yes.
I love that. That's so good. I'll do the applause in sign language.
Yes.
Yay! And are there any new shows coming out? Are there any new things that are upcoming that we can get excited about?
Yes, one of the most exciting things besides Guillermo and Will, which also released this month, is you will find beginning October 31st, so very, very soon this week, The Chosen Adventures. And that
Ooh.
is the animated kids version of The Chosen. And we will have that at Minnow beginning October 31st. And we are so excited. It'll be season one, and it is absolutely beautiful and absolutely like so meaningful, just like The Chosen. It's
Mhm.
just an incredible way for kids, especially if their parents are Chosen fans,
Yes.
to be able to get that same kind of just picture of Jesus and the teachings of Jesus in kid language and in beautiful animation and really, really fun storytelling with humor. And yeah, we are thrilled to partner with The Chosen to offer that at Minnow.
That's awesome. So are there similar like voice actors that are connected with Chosen, or is it just a separate thing completely?
No, there are some, yes, there are some similar voice actors in it
Okay.
that are part of The Chosen, yes. And then, of course, some new ones because you have new characters. You have these really sweet kid characters and then a couple of talking animals. But Jesus appears and the disciples. So,
I'm a huge fan of The Chosen, and unfortunately, my kids have to watch it with me because I'm, seminary student. Will be like, pause it. We have to talk about this,
we have to
and
talk
we
through
have we
this.
have to look it up and like see this really did happen. Isn't that amazing? And then we have to talk through they're
I
like it
love
takes
it.
hours to get through an episode with
Yeah,
me. But I love that there's a kid version because some of the storyline is a little bit heavy. There are some
of course.
places where
Yes.
it's harder for kids to wrap their mind around what's happening and connect with the storyline. So to have this option for families, I think this is so great.
It's gonna be so great. I think I've gotten to watch through them, because I review all of our content. So that's one
Mhm.
of my roles is, with our content team, I get to look at everything just to make sure, that
Mhm.
it's the way we would want to present the Bible and, God's truth to kids. There are times we say no to shows because we don't like the way they've said something or presented something.
Mhm.
But for this, one of my favorite things about the show is just the really sweet, gentle interaction between Jesus and the children.
Mm.
And I really hope that's something that kids take away, even though they can't physically experience that, to know like that is how Jesus interacts, feels about children. That's how he wants to interact
Yeah.
with you. So I think that'll be really sweet.
And I think that's something that stood out to me too, watching The Chosen and hearing the stories again, because we read them, but to experience it in a different way, it just comes alive. And just to see how loving Jesus was in every interaction, even when he was frustrated or even when he was exhausted or whatever he was going through, it just shows the humanity of what that time was like. And so that's really beautiful for that to be highlighted that Jesus really loved people and he really loved kids.
Yes. There's something so powerful about seeing it.
Mhm.
Like, for kids to read the Bible, and even, I mean, obviously, storybook Bibles, that's one of the reasons why they're so powerful for kids because you do get a visual and a kid-friendly visual. It's vibrant, it's fun. Um, and then as kids begin to read a full text Bible, a lot of times what they're picturing are the things they've seen throughout the
Yeah.
years. And so to give them something to visualize what they may eventually read in a full text Bible is a really helpful way for that to take root in their hearts,
Mhm.
because that's just a really powerful way for them to learn.
Absolutely. I was sharing with my kids the other day. I was in a play, like a Passion of the Christ type of play,
Yeah.
for a few years, like out of college and in my 20s, and I think I did it like 8 years, and so I wasn't always a character. Sometimes I was just a person in the marketplace. But now when I read those passages about the story of Jesus and him riding a donkey and going through. I feel like I was
You
there.
picture that.
You know,
Yeah.
like I feel connected to it in
Yeah.
such a different way. So when we experience the Bible in different ways like this, it really does just it embeds it in our heart and in our mind. So I love that you
Yes.
guys are producing this stuff.
I love that. That reminds me, one of the other big shows we have is the Dead Sea Squirrels. Are you familiar with that one?
Yes. Yes. We
Okay,
had
so
Mike
that
Naraki on the show
you
last year.
did.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Oh, he's fantastic. That's another one because it makes me think of that, where, like, you're
Yeah.
actually seeing that, the kids in the show are going over to Israel and kinda walking where Jesus walked and then experiencing this part of the Bible story, and it really helps connect the dots for kids, and, that's one of my favorites, that show.
I love that. Yes, and it's so funny too. Those books are great. Like my kids love
Yes.
them. So that's awesome. Well, Jess, this is so good. I'm so excited about all the amazing things that you have for Minnow. I think kids are really going to love the shows. I think parents are going to love having this content that is safe and clean and also encouraging and teaching them something new. So this is so good that you guys are doing this. Where can our listeners learn more about Minnow and sign up today?
So Minnow is spelled Minno. It's actually an Anglican spelling for the Greek word meno, which means to abide. And that's
Mm.
really our mission, is to help kids and families abide in Jesus. And so our website is GoMinno.com. And there you can browse our shows. You can sign up for a free trial. We do like a 7-day free trial before you subscribe. If you don't want to do that yet, we are on YouTube. If you just look up Minnow Bible Stories on YouTube, we have over 1 million subscribers. We have been putting all of our Laugh and Grow Bible episodes there because we want them to be accessible to kids all over the world.
Mhm.
We've had millions and millions, like 100 million kids all over the world watching the Laugh and Grow Bible because of that. And so if you want to try it out, you can kind of see some of the shows there. And then obviously you'll have the ads, but if you love it and you want to go ad free, that's when you can kind of go over to Minnow and do a subscription. But at least you'll get a feel for what the content is there and see if it's a good fit for your family. So definitely YouTube, definitely go minnow.com. We're on all socials too. Instagram is where you'll find a lot of, like, you'll get previews of shows coming out or dates of when they're going to drop and other things like that. And then if you go to Go Minnow, we have the store there, and that's where all of our books are, and you can check out those resources as well.
That's great. Thank you so much for
Yeah, of
sharing that. I hope our
course.
listeners will check this out, especially if you have kids in that 2 to 8 age range.
Yes.
This is a great time to find those good shows that you don't have to worry about. Well, Jess, thank you so much for being on the show today. Before I let you go, I always ask my guests to tell me a memory from when they were a kid. So, what do you want to share with us today?
Okay. Well, since it is October and we're thinking about Halloween, which we were not always allowed to celebrate as a kid, we kind of went back and forth on that thing.
We
I
did
know
too.
people have different points of view on that. But one year we did have the Harvest Festival at church where you were supposed to dress up as a Bible
Bible
character.
character, yes.
And this is really embarrassing because I don't know what was going on in my, like, 7-year-old mind at the time, but I was 100% sure I wanted to be Delilah. Of all the women in the Bible, Delilah. And I think because going back to, like, visuals and kids seeing things, I must have seen a picture of her in a storybook Bible once, and she probably looked all pretty,
Yeah.
and so she was the one I wanted to be. My mom did not let me be Delilah. I don't remember who I was instead, but there you go. That's my
Well, and here's the thing too. I was also Bible character for many years. Um, One of the things I would dress up as was just generic Bible woman, because you
Oh,
just
yeah,
have the thing over.
yeah, just the thing.
So you could be whoever you wanted. And so
That's
I remembered
true.
I always wanted to be different. So if
Uh-huh.
anyone said a character, I was just like, I'm Abigail, or I'm obscure Bible woman that you don't think of.
Never
So
Delilah? You were never
I
Delilah?
don't think I was like I do remember there was a guy who was Samson, and he had long hair, and he had like little paper scissors like tied around his
That's funny. See,
or
that
something.
I think that's
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
to be Samson, but to be Delilah was a little,
Yes. Or there were
anyway.
people that would like dress up in their princess costume, and they're like, "Oh, I'm Esther."
Oh,
So
right.
you can like transition between.
Yeah.
We die laughing every time we watch old home videos because my brother was a squirrel for years. And so he's like squirrel on the ark. Like that was one of the things he was. Good old Bible costumes. So nothing's better.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. This
Oh,
was
thanks for
great.
having me. So good to be with you, Kristen.